Hi, my name is Alice Wong, and I am here to talk to you about the Disability Visibility Project, a community partnership with StoryCorps. First, I'd like to thank Lucy and Jerry for inviting me today. While I can't be here in person, I'll give my contact information at the end of the talk if anyone has any comments or questions. As required, I'd like to disclose that I have nothing to disclose. I launched the Disability Visibility Project last July, and it is a year-long grassroots campaign encouraging people with disabilities to record their oral histories as StoryCorps in celebration of the upcoming 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act in July 2015. Many disability organizations and communities plan to hold different events marking the anniversary of the ADA, and this is my small contribution to these efforts that will hopefully leave a legacy for future generations to come. Our project is a community partnership with StoryCorps, and StoryCorps is one of the largest oral history projects of its kind, and millions listen to their weekly broadcasts on NPR's Morning Edition and on their website, StoryCorps.org. The StoryCorps' mission is to provide people of all backgrounds and beliefs with the opportunity to record, share, and preserve the stories of our lives. StoryCorps does this to remind one another of our shared humanity, to strengthen and build connections between people, to teach the value of listening, and to weave into the fabric of our culture the understanding that everyone's story matters. Since 2003, StoryCorps has collected and archived more than 50,000 interviews with over 90,000 participants. I especially want to thank the staff at StoryCorps for being receptive to the idea of this project and for their strong support throughout the entire process. Please note that the Disability Visibility Project is merely a community partnership. We do not have any formal relationship with StoryCorps, nor do we speak for or represent StoryCorps in any way. Here are a few goals of the Disability Visibility Project. Document the zeitgeist of Americans with disabilities. Preserve these stories and make them available to the public as an educational and historical resource. Highlight the voices and experiences of people with disabilities by people with disabilities. Recognize the breadth of this diversity within disability communities across the country, especially with communities of color, LGBTQ, immigrants, veterans, just to name a few. One of the challenges of launching any new project is outreach. I utilize social media to reach out to people with disabilities, encouraging them to participate through several channels: our website, Twitter, and Facebook. I reblog articles and create original content on our website about disability issues to engage with our community, keeping the conversations going. As a grassroots campaign, the DVP also has media partners. These are individuals, organizations, or companies who help spread the word about our project. To thank our media partners, I create blog posts highlighting their work, giving them a shout out. Here's a brief description of how StoryCorps works. StoryCorps is located in San Francisco, Chicago, Atlanta, and a mobile tour that travels all over the country. Participants make a reservation by phone or online from the StoryCorps website. StoryCorps interviews are conducted between two people who know and care about each other. The interview can be more of an informal conversation depending on the two people. A trained facilitator guides the participants through the interview process. At the end of each 40-minute recording session, participants receive a CD with a copy of their interview. With their permission, a second copy is archived at the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. Participants can use and share their recordings however they see fit. Our project does not provide any guidelines on topics to discuss. Participants don't even have to mention the ADA. The primary goal is to center the conversation on the lived experience of disability. By tagging their interviews with the Disability Visibility Project, we are creating a distinct archive of disability culture. This means visitors to the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress can search StoryCorps recordings and find this subset by the name of our project. The slogan of the Disability Visibility Project is recording history one story at a time. You may wonder why this is important. Historian Douglas Bainton believed disability history is more about than pointing out that disabled people existed. He argued that disability is a key element for historians making sense of the past, in particular when it comes to understanding inequality, society, and culture. For more, check out his essay entitled Disability and the Justification of Inequality in American History in Paul K. Longmore and Laurie Urmansey's book, The New Disability History, American Perspectives, published 2001 by New York University Press. The Disability Visibility Project believes disabled lives matter and each person has a story of value. There are people with disabilities who don't see themselves as an activist or someone into disability rights. There are people with disabilities who may not view themselves as historical figures that are part of disability history, such as Ed Roberts, Judy Heumann, or Justin Dart. Going beyond the well-known names in the disability rights movement, this project provides an opportunity for people with disabilities to come together and have a conversation about their lives, unfiltered, where they are in control of their own narratives. Our stories rarely appear in textbooks, and when they appear in the media or popular culture, it's through a lens where disability is still seen in extremes, as something to be pitied or feared, or something heroic and inspirational. Both extremes overlooking the rich complexity and nuance of actual lives. As an example of why disability history and the understanding of the disability experience is so important, I'd like to share a story recorded for the Disability Visibility Project by Christina Mills and Eli Gillardin. Christina and Eli are married to one another and proud disabled people active in the Bay Area disability community. Christina is the Deputy Director of the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, and Eli is the Executive Director of the Marin Center for Independent Living. They have 2 children with disabilities, Olivia and Sage. Olivia also has a developmental disability. Here's a photo of Christina and Eli in the recording booth sharing their story at StoryCorps in San Francisco on January 3rd, 2015. In this audio excerpt, Christina and Eli talk about the following topics: discrimination and ableist attitudes from healthcare providers, disability pride, pregnancy and prenatal testing, and being a parent of a child with physical and developmental disabilities.
One of the most significant levels of discrimination that I witnessed was when we decided we wanted to have children, and you were looking for a doctor, and there was a doctor who just refused to work with us because we were disabled. And it really, it struck me on a whole nother level that, you know, we've come so far in so many ways, but when it comes to a very basic fundamental right to be happy and to have a family and to have a sense of place and community, we still have so far to go to promote the idea that people with all types of disabilities, not just physical disabilities, but mental health, HIV, cancer, developmental disability, that we all have a right to have families. We all have a right to community. And there was no experience more moving for me in my life than seeing you as a mother, seeing you as giving birth to our daughter, Olivia. And then, even more than that, seeing you transform into your role as an advocate and a mom for our daughter, for both of us.
So when we got pregnant with Olivia, one of the most surprising things during that pregnancy for me was, we've worked in the disability rights movement I have been in it for almost 16 years now, and you've been in it 11 years. I think that we are big, as much of advocates we're huge advocates, but we also have a sense of disability pride that we put off, and we really appreciate and hold close. I hold my disability pride very close to me. So when the doctors asked us if we wanted to do any type of genetic testing to see if Olivia was going to have a disability, we said no. And we didn't care whether Olivia had your disability or had my disability, or, she had a chance of having a combination of our disabilities, and we didn't care. But as I started sharing that information with people in the community that we work with, I think the most surprising thing for me was when I did start telling people that, we could tell Olivia has a disability through ultrasounds, that people started apologizing. And they surprised me, because I thought, oh my gosh, here I am. I've been working in the disability rights movement and empowering youth with disabilities to take pride in who they are. And yet I'm sharing that I'm going to have a baby with a disability that I'm very proud of, and I have people apologizing to me in the same field.
I think it speaks to that challenge of giving yourself permission to have kids, giving yourself permission to have a family, and to accept that wholly, and feel that it's a right.
Well, and when we had our ultrasound with Olivia and saw that she had a fractured leg in utero, we knew that she had my disability. But going a little bit further down the pregnancy, we also thought that she had your disability because her head was getting large. And so our doctor had thought maybe she had both of our disabilities until we reached about 28 weeks. And then they realized it could be something more substantial because her brain wasn't forming correctly. And then we knew we had a potential different disability altogether. We knew we had mine, but we weren't sure if we had yours, and we knew that we probably had something else neurologically going on with Olivia as well. So, it was shocking because we were prepared to have a baby with either mine or yours or a combination, but we weren't quite prepared to have a child with a different type of disability. So I think that's been like a huge learning experience for us in so many wonderful ways. And then, she keeps us extremely busy. She's a very active child. But when we decided to have a second child, when she was only 2 years old, I couldn't believe how many people thought we were incredibly out of our minds for doing it a second time, knowing how much time and energy it takes having Olivia.
What have you learned from our first child, from Olivia?
Well, I've learned that we've got a lot of work to do in the disability rights movement. Olivia is extremely rare, having a skeletal dysplasia disability and having a developmental disability that's, pretty substantial, that there's not many organizations and services that know how to handle a family, first of all people with disabilities, and let alone a child with multiple serious disabilities. So I've learned that I've got a lot of work to do as an advocate, and that it's important to embrace disability the way it is, no matter what it looks like or how it is. Olivia has taught me to be extremely patient. I didn't think I had the amount of patience needed for Olivia, but she's taught me how to be extremely patient. She's just given me so many more reasons why I need to work harder to create disability equality and equality for all people, regardless if they have disabilities or not, but people who are from underserved minority communities. I mean, Olivia is just giving me a reason to work that much more.
Olivia has taught me that once again, the perceptions and the boundaries that I put on myself or on my life really are only just that. They're limitations or their barriers that I put on. And what I learn every day from Livy is that you cannot operate in a free space, and she has absolute truth. There isn't a filter of what she should be or what she can or cannot do. She does what she wants to do. And while she doesn't communicate in a verbal sense, she communicates through movement, and she communicates through texture and through spinning. And it's no less communication than any other form. And I think the boundaries that I put on myself have really changed because of our daughter, because I see that there's much more spectrum, there's much more freedom than I allow myself.
Tina and Eli's story is just one of many recorded for the Disability Visibility Project. I don't know about you, but I thought their story was incredibly powerful, and stories like theirs need to be told and shared. Since this project began last July, I've been astounded by the response in the Bay Area and all over. On January 16th of this year, NPR's Morning Edition broadcasted a StoryCorps segment that was from our project. This was a wonderful way for the DVP to start the new year, since less than 1% of all StoryCorps recordings make it on air. As of February 2015, we've had over 70 recordings by people with disabilities from all 3 StoryCorps locations and mobile tour, 82 DVP media partners, 251 blog posts, 646 Twitter followers, and 2,068 DVP Facebook group members. I hope you'll all consider telling people you know in the developmental disability community about this project and encourage them to tell their stories. For any questions or comments, feel free to reach me by email at alicat155@gmail.com. Twitter is at disvisibility, or our website, disabilityvisibilityproject.com. And for more information on StoryCorps can be found at storycorps.org. Thank you.